interesting but lesser well-known stories about the World Series that, I know we have some baseball fans here, and as you baseball fans know, there's been a lot of iconic moments in the World Series. Bill Mazeroski hit a home run to win the 1960 World Series for the Pirates, and Reggie Jackson had a lot of World Series heroics for the Yankees in the 70s, and Kirk Gibson hit a home run for the Dodgers to win Game 1 of the 1988 World Series with a bad leg, and he hobbled up to the plate, hit a home run. But what we decided to do is, since those moments have been written about and talked about so much, we would come up with stories about that even maybe hardcore fans don't know. So we came up with 18 going back from 1918 when Babe Ruth was playing until 2016 when the Chicago Cubs finally won the World Series after a drought of 108 years. That's a long time to go without a World Series. And some of the stories are more serious, heartwarming, heartbreaking, some a little more lighthearted, amusing, outrageous, and so I'll tell a couple of stories. But first, I just want to. I've learned from being here the last hour that a few of you went to the Phillies Red Sox game on Monday night, and it ended in an extremely unusual fashion, something that has not happened in more than 50 years. It's a tie game, bottom of the 10th inning. The Phillies had the bases loaded, and catcher's interference is something that is very rarely called by umpires. But when the catcher's glove strikes the batter's bat on the backswing, that batter is awarded first base, and that's what happened. And because the bases were loaded, the runner on third came in to score, and that's a crazy way to win a game. I mean, there's a lot of walk-off home runs and doubles and singles. Sometimes a walk with the bases loaded, but catcher's interference is just so extraordinarily unusual. So that's great that a few of you guys went to the game, and then the Phillies won again last night, so going for the sweep tonight. So all good for the Phillies.
Did you think that was fair?
Yeah. It's unusual, but I would say it is. I would say it is fair. I mean, it's the catcher's got to make sure that he's back far enough that he cannot interfere with the batter's swing.
Yeah, but it was the batter that was smart enough to call it to the umpire's attention.
Yeah.
Because it was ignored. The umpires didn't notice it. Mm-hmm. So how many times has that happened, perhaps, where the batter didn't even realize?
That even more unusual. I mean, I see that called maybe once a year. I mean, it just does not happen much. But yeah, I mean, as you say,
it's possible that it is just ignored or
yeah, sure. Sometimes it's just not caught, or it's not called by the umpire. But normally when it happens, maybe there's nobody on base, there's a guy on first base, and it's the 5th inning, and it's
crucial.
But for it to happen in the 10th inning to score the winning run is just with the bases
loaded. You have to give credit to the batter who called it to their attention.
Yeah. Hypothetical question: maybe the catcher didn't want to play extra innings.
Yeah, you never know.
Put the glove on.
Yeah, you never know. You would sure hope not, but.
Or maybe he was betting like Pete Rose.
Yeah, well, that would be.
And he wanted
That it wasn't.
the Phillies to win.
Yeah, you never know.
Usually when a batter's going across home plate, they're usually running. This guy just walked.
Yeah.
They usually walk to the third to first.
Bases loaded and no outs?
Yeah, I believe there were no outs. Yeah.
No, they would.
I mean, they would have probably won the game anyway, but still, it was great that they won. That they. So since the book's about the World Series, I want to ask you guys: have any of you had the pleasure of attending a World Series game in person? A few people. George, go ahead.
1980.
Okay.
And, see, that was against the Blue Jays, I think.
That was the Royals.
Royals.
Blue Jays was 93.
Okay.
So that was, they won in 1980, Steve Carlton, Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose. Did you go to the decisive Game 6 when they?
No, I was in the undecisive second.
Okay, but still, I mean, it's great that you were there,
Here, a quick anecdote.
Yeah, please.
My daughter was, I I'm guessing that when she was something like 16 or 18, and she and I stood in line for tickets all night. And by 4 o'clock in the morning, we had gotten separated, and at one point I look up, and everybody's standing shoulder to shoulder, smack dab, waiting for the ticket thing to open. I see a prone person being carried over the crowd into a place. It was my daughter. She passed out.
Wow.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, what she was at.
But she was okay.
Yeah,
She was okay.
So the Phillies beat Kansas City in '80.
Yes.
Didn't they go back the following year?
They went in '83, they lost to the Orioles in 5 games.
I was at, I think, one game when they lost to the Orioles.
Okay.
At Vet Stadium.
Yeah, it sure was. And so, how about you? Tell us when you went.
I went to the Astros-Phillies game, and of course, they lost. We didn't get a hit at all. It was almost a no-hitter, one of the
Oh,
games.
2022. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
And the the fans kept saying, cheater, cheater. Remember, the Astros had been accused of cheating.
Yeah, a few.
So
That's
they kept saying, cheater, cheater.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely cheated
But
a few years.
we lost. We didn't score at all.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. They hit like 5 home runs the night before, and they can't even get a hit that night, which is depressing. But still, just
That's
to
baseball.
be. Yeah, it's baseball.
This
Just
is
to.
their pattern.
Yeah, sure. I'd say. So, Pat, when did you go?
It wasn't a Phillies game, it was in New York.
Okay.
New York Yankees, and I'm struggling to remember the year, to tell you the truth, but, I remember we sat out in left field, it was, I think Joe Torre was playing left field, but he was playing.
Okay, he was a player. So we're talking the 60s.
Oh, no.
Or
I
70s?
think 70s.
Okay.
70s, maybe early 80s.
Okay, 'cause-
75, 80.
Yeah. Okay. So at the old Yankee Stadium with,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
venerable where Mickey Mantle played and everybody else. So, yeah, that's great. A few of you guys have been to World Series games. And so, all right, well, I'll just tell a story or two that's contained in the book, and then you guys chime in, please, with any questions, any stories of your own. There's only one chapter in the book involving a Phillies World Series, and that's a lot because they have not been in too many World Series over the years. The Yankees have won 27 World Series, the Phillies have won 2. Doesn't seem fair, but 2009, the Phillies squared off against the Yankees. The Phillies, of course, had won the World Series the year before, beating Tampa Bay. Charlie Manuel was the manager, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins were the stars. And in July of 2009, the Phillies are looking to, the trade deadline is was coming up as it is now, and the Phillies were looking to improve their team for the stretch run, and they made a trade and picked up a pitcher from the Cleveland Indians who had won the Cy Young Award for best pitcher in the American League the season before. Anybody remember who that pitcher was that the Phillies got from Cleveland?
Cliff Lee?
Cliff Lee it was.
Hey.
Good call, Michael. So Cliff Lee came over, and he quickly became the ace of the staff. He was just lights out pitching. The fans liked him. His teammates liked him. The Phillies win the pennant. They beat the Dodgers in the playoffs to get there, and they square off against the powerful New York Yankees. And because Cliff Lee had become, such as the ace of the staff, Charlie Manuel named him to be the starter of Game 1, which is quite an honor. He'd never pitched in the World Series before. Game 1 at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx on like a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock game. The Phillies and staff members stayed at a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Most of the players and staff members just took the team bus up to the Bronx, but they were not required to. If they wanted to go another way, that was allowed. And Cliff Lee decided he would stay back at the hotel longer, kind of mentally get ready for his big start. And so late afternoon, he hails a cab, thinking that he should be up to Yankee Stadium within a half hour, and he'll be there plenty of time to, get his uniform on and warm up. However, he encountered a problem because halfway between Manhattan and the Bronx, the cab that Cliff Lee was in got stuck in a huge traffic jam, just a massive traffic jam. Cab is not moving, and the cabbie calls a dispatcher who tells Cliff, hey, this is going to take about 2 hours to get to Yankee Stadium because of this traffic jam. And that was pushing right up against the start of the game. So Cliff Lee is thinking he's in jeopardy of not making it to the ballpark for his Game 1 World Series start because of a traffic jam. So he's understandably concerned, and he pulls out a cell phone and he calls his agent in Arkansas. Cliff was an Arkansas guy himself, and he calls the Phillies manager of travel, whose name was Frank, and he said, guys, I have this dilemma. I'm stuck in a cab, and I don't know if I can get to Yankee Stadium on time. What do I do? And they both suggested, listen, why don't you try to find a police officer in the area who may give you an escort to the ballpark, even though you're a Philly. You might get that courtesy. But unfortunately, no police officers are in the area. Meanwhile, the cab is kind of inching forward, and Cliff Lee is really doesn't know what to do. But he finally has an idea. When he pitched for the Indians, sometimes he would take the subway from the hotel to Yankee Stadium, which seems hard to believe. You wouldn't really expect major league players with all the money they make to take the subway, but he did that now and then. So the New York City subway system has got to be hard to navigate for somebody who is not from New York and using it regularly. But Cliff Lee felt like he knew it well enough to make it. He thought that was his best option. Fortunately, cab was close to a subway station, so he paid the cab fare, got out, jumped on the subway. He had to change subways on the way to Yankee Stadium, but he knew what to do. Yeah, Pat, you gonna?
I remember the subway ride from the train station to the all underground to Yankee Stadium was the most harrowing part of it.
Yeah.
I witnessed that. I can remember that more than I remember the game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's
What
fine.
happened?
So, but what Cliff Lee ends up, so he changes subways and he gets up to the stop, 161st Street, right outside of Yankee Stadium. But he then encounters another problem because 2009 was the first year of the new Yankee Stadium. From the 1920s until 2008, they played in the old Yankee Stadium, where you went, Pat, and where the greats, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Derek Jeter, they played there. But yeah, absolutely. The ballpark had gotten old, so they decided to build a new stadium right next to the old Yankee Stadium. And Cliff knew how to gain access to the players' entrance in the old Yankee Stadium, did not know for the new stadium, tried to find the entrance, couldn't do it. He called the Phillies manager of travel again. He said, I'm here, I just don't know how to get in. And he said, well, listen, why don't you there's a McDonald's right across the street from Yankee Stadium. Why don't you just stand in front of the McDonald's and we'll send somebody out and pick you up. And that's exactly what they did. And Cliff gets to Yankee Stadium a lot later than he wanted to, but still enough time, to get to warm up and go out and pitch. And what makes the story interesting, I wouldn't even tell it had this not happened. That had to be a kind of a chaotic pre-game commute for Cliff, and that would have rattled some players, I think. But Cliff Lee went out that night against the very powerful Yankees team that featured Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Mark Teixeira. I mean, they were really loaded, and he pitched one of the greatest games in the history of the World Series going back to 1903. He allowed 1 run and scored on an error. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 10 batters. All of that.
Complete game.
Yeah, complete game. Just an outstanding game. I mean, just a tremendous game. Unfortunately, as you guys, many of you remember, they ended up losing the series in 6 games. Cliff Lee won another game, but those are the only 2 games the Phillies lost. But still, great job by Cliff Lee to pitch that the big game one win
story.
under some unusual circumstances. So I'll give you one other kind of unusual story involving a pitcher, and then please, share any stories you have or any questions. And Pat, let me know when I do it. Am I good on time?
You're doing fine.
Okay, so 1990, Michael, you'd mentioned the Pete Rose betting, and so 1990, Cincinnati Reds versus the Oakland A's. Now this was right after the Pete Rose scandal had broken, and he agreed to be banned from baseball, and so Lou Piniella took over as manager of the Reds, and Tony La Russa was manager of the A's, and they were a couple of very good managers. Ironically, they were childhood friends in Tampa, both very competitive, wanted to beat the other. The A's had Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco. They were heavily favored to beat the Reds, but the Reds won game one in Cincinnati, and they're looking to win game two. The Reds had a pitcher on their staff named Tom Browning, who was a good but not great pitcher, kind of like a Aaron Nola or a Cole Hamels, somebody who's pretty good but not like Roy Halladay or Zach Wheeler. But the plan was Lou Piniella wanted to start Tom Browning in game 3 in Oakland. But even though he wasn't going to start him until game 3, he still wanted him available to pitch in game 2 in case the game went into extra innings, or managers tend to think outside the box in the playoffs and will bring in pitchers out of the bullpen that normally start. So he wanted Browning available just in case. And sure enough, the game is close in the 8th inning, and the wheels are turning in Lou Piniella's head and thinking, Tom Browning was a left-handed pitcher, he may have to bring Browning in to face a left-handed hitter for the A's. And all of a sudden, Lou Piniella cannot locate Tom Browning. Now, when a pitcher is not in a game, he will hang out either in the bullpen, in the dugout, or it's back in the clubhouse. Sometimes we'll just hang out with a couple of the other players, watch the game on TV, but Tom Browning was nowhere to be found. And Lou Piniella, who had his temper, was not too happy about it, thinking, wait a minute, this is a World Series game, and one of my pitchers is missing. What is going on? So here's the unusual backstory. Let's go back a few hours earlier. Tom Browning's wife, Debbie, is 8 months and 3 weeks pregnant. So she, even though she's on the brink of giving birth, she wants to go to the game to support her husband. Her doctor really recommends against it, but she says, no, I gotta go. This is the World Series. I gotta cheer Tom and the Reds on. And she and Tom go in separate cars. Tom goes a lot earlier, and she does not bring any family members with her, which was not the smartest thing. She just went by herself, sat with wives of the other Reds players. In about the 6th inning, she realizes, I'm gonna have this baby tonight. There is no question about it. So she tries to maintain her cool. This is before cell phones, so she can't call anybody. So she figures what she will do is just not bother anybody. She'll just get in her car and drive over the bridge to a hospital in Kentucky, 15, 20 minutes away, and she'll have the baby. Simple as that. So she goes to the parking lot where players and their family members park, and her car is blocked in by a Cincinnati Reds team van. She cannot back her car out to leave. So again, she's getting a little nervous, and at this point, and she can get access to the players' entrance. She makes her way down to the clubhouse and says, hey, knocks on the door, says, listen, I'm Tom Browning's wife. I need that van moved because I got to get my car out. Tom Browning, in uniform, is in the clubhouse at this point, sees his wife, automatically knows what's going on, but she confirms, hey, I'm going to have this baby. And Tom Browning, without telling his manager, anybody else, just walks right out of the clubhouse, takes his wife, gets in Tom's car, and they drive to the hospital in Kentucky. Now, eventually, Lou Piniella, the manager, gets wind of what has happened here. You know, somebody in the clubhouse saw Browning walking out with his wife, and Piniella is not sympathetic. Even though his wife's gonna have a baby, he wants his pitcher available in this World Series game. So he has an announcement go out over the Reds radio that says, would Tom Browning please return to the ballpark? Your manager wants you back immediately. And then that's picked up by the Tim McCarver, who was doing the broadcast on TV, and again repeats, would Tom Browning please come back to the ballpark? His manager wants him in case he is needed to pitch. You know, at that point, Tom Browning has gotten to the hospital. He's in the waiting room. He's watching the game on TV. He hears McCarver's announcement, and he just chuckles. And you know, hey, it's too late. You know, I'm not going anywhere at this point. So, as it turned out, it was a happy ending because she had a happy, healthy baby, her third. The Reds won that game in extra innings. They didn't need Tom Browning, so they could laugh about it later. But it was still just kind of an unbelievable story. And the Reds ended up sweeping the A's and winning the World Series. So those are a couple of the more offbeat stories. There's.
It's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. It's hard to believe, but there's more serious stuff in there. But that's just a couple of the quick ones. So. You guys, any questions, any just interesting stories of your own?
Well, two things. You mentioned Tom McCarver. What is your feeling about Richie Allen finally getting into Cooperstown?
Well, you know,
I remember him. And he put up with a lot of racial.
Well, he sure did. I mean, he did. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Richie Allen was a extremely talented black player for the Phillies in the 60s. Just an absolute slugger, but he was subjected to a lot of prejudice, and but he had a great career. Butted heads with managers at times, and many people thought he should have made the Hall of Fame a long time ago based on his accomplishments, but he just got in a 3 months ago. I think it's these committees that vote.
He was an angry guy.
He did have some anger. I mean,
How could you blame him?
yeah.
But
No, I hear you. I mean, he did have some anger, and maybe it was justified. But I mean, I think he was worthy. His career was a little shorter than.
I just read in the Inquirer Sports page, they did a feature on him, and he worked really hard to make amends with the fans.
Yeah.
And he was a really good character. It's just a shame that he's not alive to see him.
Oh, I know.
Get in there.
Yeah, I mean that's for sure. And that's the thing. A few
And
years.
Tim McCarver, how many World Series did he play?
He was.
He was a catcher.
Yeah, for the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
64 and 67 when Bob Gibson was the star pitcher. McCarver was on those teams, and he was
And
also
made it
on the
to
80.
3 World
Yeah,
Series?
so also 80. So yeah, McCarver was a very good player.
Yeah.
Not a star, but good, but good long career, and then he
was-
became a successful
He was
broadcaster.
Steve Carlton's person.
Yeah, that's right. Steve Carlton preferred him. Yeah, Pat.
You also wrote a book about Steve Carlton.
Yeah.
Which had to be the hardest book in the world to write because he was the most inaccessible guy ever in baseball, wasn't he?
Well, no question. And Steve Carlton, a guy named Steve Bucci, who was a local broadcaster for a few years, wanted to write a book about Carlton. We reached out to Carlton to see if he would talk to us. And we were writing the book about his best season ever in 1972 when he won 27 games for a last place team. So we depicted him very favorably, but Carlton, who did not trust any writers, said, no thanks, I'm not going to do it. And so we were able to write the book anyway and interview his teammates like Greg Lazinski and Larry Boa and a lot of opposing players. So yeah, we were able to write the book, but Carlton did not participate. It's just the way it was. Yeah, please.
how did you get that story about
Tom Browning, I had heard it heard about it years ago, and then with the internet these days, you can there are just articles and articles and articles, and kind of same with the Cliff Lee. I had heard that story, but then I said, okay, that would make an interesting story for the book, and then just, you Google Cliff Lee subway, and there you go, and we tried to interview him for the book, and Cliff was another guy who didn't really like writers, and again, even though we're writing about one of the best games of his career, he declined to talk. So, I'm not in the business, and I think sometimes they just don't want to cooperate. Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for coming. You did a great job.
Thank
I
you.
mean it.
Well, thanks.
And would you be interested in speaking to other Rotary clubs?
I have spoken before many, and I really welcome it, because I just really have it. I have a lot of fun doing it. I'm always welcomed very warmly. And the book came out in April of 24, and now that I'm semi-retired from work, I got more time on my hands. And I speak to one to two clubs a month, and
Rotary clubs?
Yeah, and I really enjoy it. I'm going to Longwood tomorrow morning.
Good.
I got to be there at 6:45 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they start quite early.
Now, do you have books with you to sell?
I do. If anybody wants one for themselves or a family member, it's $22. It's $3 back to the club for each book.
Oh, goody.
Which one? Shadows of Glory?
Yeah, that's all I have is the World Series book. And Michael and I did a little barter.
Now, I'm gonna give you 10, because mine only costs 8 to print.
Well, okay, whatever if you want to do that. But
I'd like to buy a book.
okay, yeah, sure. Just get with me right after. And but thanks, guys. Really, I enjoyed it a lot, and thanks for your interaction. And so.
Geez, I didn't give you any signals, and you finished right on
Yeah,
time
yeah.
anyway.
Well, I'm
You
glad.
had a lot of practice.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks.
It's just a small token of our
Oh, thanks.
appreciation, and we thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Well, thanks.
Very entertaining.
Well, thank you. Thanks for.
And let's not make it 12 years.
Yeah, no,
Come
I'll
back
be
again,
I'll
okay?
be back sooner than that.
What's your next book?
It's
Can
about.
I have a book?
Oh, sure. I'll tell you in a second, George. It's okay.
And can I have your card?
He sounds
Yeah,
like
Do you
sure.
have a card?
You know what I-
We don't have cards anymore.
Nasal.
But you can, if you want to email me, you can email.
Sounds just like.
Matt,
Okay,
Matt.
22.
Here's your
Yeah, I have
pen.
the change and everything.
Huh?
Oh, you're so generous. I didn't hear what you said.
All right.
So I'd rather you know
Okay.
The banks are
my sister-in-law
Don't worry, we'll make
is
more.
the head of ALS Foundation.
Okay.
And so.
Remember, we used to buy pens years ago. We used to have to buy a pen.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And Phillies give them.
Today's Lemon Day.
Yeah.
National Lemon Day.
Do you want me to sign it without?
Yeah, sign it. Yeah,
Enjoy
yes,
the,
yes.
enjoy the ball.
Right, right, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. But I won't
My
mind.
name on it.
Two things in the camp and giving
That's a
somebody.
good way. Sometimes I do it that way, but usually.
It was called the Horatio Alger Award.
Whatever extra.
Actually, I'm very proud of that because they made a whole big deal out of it. And Mr. Horatio Alger.
He's a man, yeah.
It was
They're
grew up from nothing and he made a big
Yeah,
success.
now
That's the young people.
Oh, yeah.
Who had a similar background, started from mediocre backgrounds with someone poor family, somehow managed to achieve some good things in my life.
Oh,
And they gave me a t-shirt with
Yeah, thank you.
which I still have.
Yeah, thanks.
I wear it occasionally.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Yeah,
it says
appreciate
that
it.
Nobody knows.
similar to the Horatio Alger concept.
Oh,
When the world gives you
If you want
lemons,
us,
just don't give up.
fine.
When the world gives you lemons,
I'll sign
make
mine.
lemonade.
No, that's it.
You know, do something-
Because
make something- make
that's
something positive
that's
out of it.
Alright.
And then he'll get
I wouldn't say I would put that with
I mean, I do
Horatio
like
Alger, but that's.
I mean, they gave me that t-shirt. Horatio Alger Day.
Yeah,
I don't know if he said that or not, but it's a saying that goes with the story.
Yep.
Can I try to stump you?
Okay, go ahead. You know, George, I'll tell you this.
How old are you?
I'm 64.
Alright,
It's
so I,
nothing, no, Jim's worked hard. Education was important, they supported.
Yeah.
There were poor people, there were honest people.
okay, so
There were handshake.
why are two monsters? Why was he accused of growing
And all your sections,
weed?
bring it back, more success.
Don't put it in.
Because he was using pitching, bunting, and short.